This is Wednesday and it's a beautiful day. We are here this morning to bring you to speed with the happenings around the world and even Nigeria. If you're not informed, you're deformed. Welcome to Outnumbered. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course I have Antonia Nwokolo this morning as usual.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Antonia. Good morning, Christopher Sunday.
Good morning, Ramsey. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning.
It's good to have you today, Christopher. I was being outnumbered a few days ago, but thank God you're here today, and someone is being outnumbered. Antonia, of course. All right, let's quickly bring you to speed with the happenings around the world, and we want to begin with the Vanguard newspaper. That's the newspaper review for the day. Above the header, CBN lifts restriction on FX access for importation of dairy products, and the details of that you can actually get on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then Edo Guba, only 6 parties have filed nomination. This is coming from INEC, and I'm just one writer to that story. Urges parties to stop granting unnecessary waivers to defectors. Details of that you can get on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper, and that takes me straight to the big story for the day. It's really big. From the Vanguard, the big story says that Delta killings, 3 suspects nabbed, moved to Army headquarters in Asaba. I have some riders to that story. The riders are so much, I won't be able to take all. So you can just walk to your vendor and pick a copy of the Vanguard newspaper and go through it. Then you can actually read out the riders for yourself. And finally, from the Vanguard this morning, Edo Assembly directs CJ to set up committee on Shaibu's impeachment. There is some kind of problem. I was speaking with Antonia yesterday and was like, come on. This election in Edo State governorship election is becoming more like a presidential election. Details of that you can actually get on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper, and that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Vanguard this morning. Let's move to the next paper for the rest of the headlines.
On the Guardian newspaper, unlicensed digital lenders, loan sharks target poor citizens, exploit, violate privacy rights. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, and underneath the headline there's a description saying 215 lenders registered, 47 delisted, over 71 apps operating illegally. Loan apps deploy compound interest, and finally we have firms exploit and abuse users' data. The next headline from the Guardian newspaper, Nasu Sanu strike leaves certificates applicants stranded. Now, a lot of people are applying for their certificates. Now, with this strike, they will be unable to get their certificates because universities are not opened. The details of that story is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Banks show signs of illiquidity, borrow over 24 trillion naira from CBN less than 3 months. We can find that story on page 17. And then the final headline on the Guardian newspaper, Delta governor briefs Tinubu on Okwama killings. Of course, the killings of the soldiers in Delta State. The story is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper, and that will be all from here.
All right, from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, children executed by Israeli forces in raid on Gaza hospital. That story you will find on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. This is, I think, a woman has outnumbered us here now. Zenith Bank has done best. Adaura emerges Zenith Bank's first female GMD. Kudos to Antonia.
Kudos to Adora too for making the women proud.
The ladies are breaking ground.
It's
coming high on the ladder like this. I saw that story and I was like, well, this is a good development.
Yeah, I think I read her story yesterday. She's a goal-getter.
Yeah,
and I'm
she's
proud
a
of
goal-getter.
her.
I think some good things are happening.
She's also a lawyer. She has so many things to herself. Kudos to her. Kudos to you, Adora. And already some men are asking if she is married because on all her pictures you can't find her.
You guys don't send like they sent to that lady. Don't send
the 72 woman.
Yeah, don't.
All right. INEC laments rising costs, disruption from acrimonious primaries, waivers for defectors. That story you'll find on page 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Akpabio under fire for linking soldiers' killings to mercenaries. Akpabio is always in the news, back to back, day on day.
I saw that story this morning, and I was
something. Even yesterday, I read it. I say, how? Delta State is in South.
Yes.
And from the story we've heard, we learned that the soldiers were there to broker peace between the youth and other community. Yes. So why are you diverting people from what it is? I think Akpabio has to stop playing unnecessary politics with people's life. He should stop playing unnecessary politics with people's life. All right. The big story on the Daily Trust newspaper there is Kano, Katsina, Sokoto. 4 others spent 28.3 billion on Ramadan feeding. Cleric calls for accountability. Well, we are still asking why people should be fed in their country. Dangote is there feeding people. Every day you hear somebody is spending millions of naira feeding people. Now the cleric are already asking for accountability. Well, I don't know why the cleric is asking, or they are asking for accountability. This is state funds. It is not even their right. I don't know why. I think we are too extreme with some of the things we do in this country. People should be able to earn their living, to take on their own. Okay, let me be careful so I don't go out of the way. If the governors are using their personal fund to do this, I understand. But if this is the state money, why would we be using state money to fund Ramadan fasting? For goodness sake, that would be the size of the newspaper review from the Guardian newspaper. Except you want to throw light on this.
No, sometimes they use all of this as an avenue, okay, to amass wealth for themselves. So I'm not even surprised. If the clerics, one thing about some of these Muslim clerics is that they are down to earth. If they want to do anything, they follow it to the latter. So they should give account of this money. That's so much. Using state money to finance Ramadan. Well, I don't know. But then, account for it. All right, let's move to the next paper, which is going to be the Punch newspaper. 30 trillion naira loans. Senate uncovers fresh infractions. Summons Cardoso. Cardoso is in the news once again. Page 32 is where you get that story. Emefiele is not out of it yet. Cardoso came on board, and 30 trillion naira loan. Senate is already summoning him. Well, let's see how that is going to happen. Then on page 22 of the Punch newspaper, reps to quiz minister over $300 million malaria loan spending. All right. Let's see how it's really going to end. We see the beginning of most of these summons and these queries, but we don't get to see the end. That is the problem. The federal government, states, local governments share 10 trillion naira allocations in 2023. NEITE is the one saying this, NEITE. T-I, I beg your pardon. Page 31 is where you can see that. All right. NEITE is the one saying this. Federal government, states, local government share 10 trillion naira allocation in 2023. We never felt the effect of that. The big story.
The federal government shared 2.2 trillion naira money rate from revenue in the month of February. This last February. So as I'm talking to you now, aside the oil derivative, the 13% derivation or derivative, my state has gotten 7.2 billion from the federal government as FAC, that is federal allocation, and then my state is also expecting 13 billion naira.
Is it just your state, or that should
all oil? No, like the federal allocation is for 36 states, but oil producing states have what we call 13% derivative.
Okay. Kogi is an oil.
Kogi is, yes, just recently declared oil producing state. And then you also think of IGR. I think while we look up to the federal government for things to be better, we should also pay attention to our governors.
The governors.
Because
internally generated
last month I am aware that Kogi State got about 14.5 billion naira
But his co-guides feeling the effect of this money.
Well, a little bit of development, a shift from how it used to be during the former governor. I think the new governor now is trying to make people feel okay from the federal government, local government to the state, pensioners and all that. I think they are feeling what the effect of it. But why should payment of salary be an achievement?
That's it. You're being paid for what you are doing, okay? And someone is celebrating, oh, they've paid my salary. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. In a system, in a same country, it shouldn't be. But then, if this money is actually being disbursed to the state's governors, they should do something. And I think the people should also be shown how to hold their governors accountable. This is where the judiciary comes in. All right. Reign of terror. The big story from the Punch newspaper this morning. 165 farmers killed March. Farms deserted as bandits demand 3 billion naira. The details of that you can get on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Then just 2 riders to that story. 130 farmers killed in 4 Benue local governments. 28 in Sokoto. The sorghum production falls by 90% in Borno. Then the second rider says Benue farmers lose 1.1 billion naira to attacks. Sokoto growers pay 3 billion naira ransom. 5 million naira paid in Delta State. This is the situation.
And then you
it's actually a reign of terror.
Yeah, you now encourage people to
terror.
go to farm.
It's a reign of terror.
You want people to go to farm. I think part of this, I listened to the program yesterday, and I quite agree with Antonia when she said that, though she was not assertive, she said it's like this is being sponsored. I don't know if I got you right.
Yeah, I said I was tempted to say
yeah,
this
exactly,
is sponsored
because I don't understand why in a sovereign state, back to back from one region to another, as it is right now, the 6th geopolitical zone of this country is under attack. To what end? I am beginning to think that they want to cause maybe some foreign bodies or foreign other nations want to maybe cause havoc to this country so that they can now open doors for importation of their goods to Nigeria. As it is now, people cannot go to farm. You are not safe. You are not sure that once you go to farm, you will come back. Yesterday, somebody who just finished NYSC was killed. A young guy who just finished NYSC was killed by Fulani herdsmen.
That's so
everywhere.
pathetic.
So I don't understand. I think
pathetic.
the federal government. We don't know why network is behaving the way it is behaving, but if there is a will to fix this, I can put it to you that Nigeria has what it takes to fix it.
Yes.
Why do we have NCC? Why do we have DSS? Why do we have NIA? What is their work? Why can't we track those who are communicating
that the federal
before
government
striking? Because these people cannot. The way they organize, the way things they go about striking their target, you will be wondering whether we have communication tracker in this country.
all right. As a matter of fact, I don't know why the federal government is always quiet about this situation. You know, these things keep happening and everyone is quiet about it. And Nnamdi Kanu said something yesterday that it's as if some politicians are actually benefiting from this insecurity in the country. You know, his case he was brought to the court yesterday.
But there was something he said again that I think he's either endangering his life if he's being released, or they should also question him. How come he says is that 2 hours or 24 hours after he's released that the problem in the southeast will end?
Meaning he has hand in it?
Either is the problem in the southeast or south because he's with the DSS or because he staged it. You see, I can understand the psychological aspect of it. Maybe he wants to maybe persuade the federal government that if you release me, but again, it will be followed. He may be freed, but he may not have the freedom.
All right, this is the size of the newspaper review for this morning. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return back with the big story. My name is Ramsey, and it's been Antonia and Christopher.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still Outnumbered live on your screen with Ramsey, Antonia, and Christopher. Well, let's bring to you the big story for the day. What's the big story? If you look at the Punch newspaper carefully, if you look to the right, you'll see where it says federal government names 15 terrorism financiers, BDCs, plans sanction. This is not the first time we are hearing that some sponsors of this terrorism attack are known, okay? But then there's something, like I said during the headlines, sometimes we get to hear of the beginning, but we don't hear the end. But there are some things that should be done so that it will serve as a deterrent to every other person. Because someone would do something and go away with it, then another person would want to do it. In the first place, what do these people stand to gain sponsoring terrorism in this country? And if you go through the story, if you look at the Punch newspaper, you see a publisher, in so place. The names are there, all right? As it is right now, we've heard the Kuje prison attack, the Owa attack, the names of people who actually financed the attack is being known right now. But then what will be done at the end of the day? It is only in this country that you hear that terrorists who are in custody after being released are allowed to mix up with the society, or rather being trained or being incorporated into the society, and all of that without anything being done. These are people who take other people's lives without even thinking twice. Is that the best way to handle this situation? All right, let me get to Christopher at this point in time. This is not the first time we're hearing about financiers being known. All right, here they've been named. Now, just naming the financiers, do you see that being enough? Or what do you think originally should be done if financiers, or in a same country now, what do you think originally should be done to people who sponsor terrorist attacks?
We just want to be literally correct. If not, it's as good as saying if someone does anything wrong, what do you expect? What should the person expect, or what is expected to be done to the person? About 15 years ago, a man named Salami, popularly known as Asta Nigeria Limited, got some money in hard currency into his account, and he was traced and was arrested, and he spent years in Kuje prison here before he was released. And since he got back, at least I know him down to his house. He has been broke. At least not that he cannot feed himself, but this was somebody who was part of people who decide the fate of civil servants in Kogi State those days. You want to tell me that as it is right now, the federal government doesn't know how these monies are coming in, where they are coming in, to whom they are getting to, where they are collecting it, where they are changing it? In a sovereign state, it means we are living corpses or living corpses in this country. It means anybody can stand up any day to strike this country and go free. Without any consequences.
No consequences.
I don't understand why we have, like I said earlier before the break, we have DSS, we have the police, we have NIA. We have, how do you call it again? SSS and all kinds of military and paramilitary agencies. Yet, we are still struggling to trace or to track those who are collecting money to this country. The federal government is so quick to trace people who are doing crypto, Binance and all that. But here we are, the one that we are supposed to track, not only track, cripple, arrest, and even detain. And then we are here asking, look at 39 or 38 names. I think that names will make sure we will put it on the screen so that people will read who they are. Probably if maybe some of them will know them. Let the federal government arrest those Nigerians first, and then we are quick to go to international community when we have our internal problem. But we fail to go to international community when we need to go to, when other people are struggling to. Why can't we write to the international community, submit the names of these Sudanese and all these people that are sponsoring terrorism in this country by sending in dollars, hard currency to this country, for them to be tracked and arrested? I rest my case here.
All right, Antonia, as it is right now, the country is boiling. The country is boiling. And one of the major reasons why the country is boiling is because of terrorism attack, bandits, kidnappers. Now, as a country, if you get to know who is responsible for all of this, then you just publish names. You said, okay, these people are known now. You just publish names and you go to sleep. Let me ask you, Nigeria as a nation, do you think these people are smarter, okay, than all the agencies, the people responsible for security? Remember how much was given? About 3 point something trillion given to Ribadu.
Yeah, the National Security
Advisor. Okay. And after then, things are still like this. Do you see some form of game somewhere, or someone is trying to say, oh, he's my brother? Someone is trying to play tribalism, favoritism, or nepotism, ethnicity, or something.
You know, when things like this happen, it just goes to show how decayed the country has become in terms of terrorist attacks and all of that. When things like this happen, it's not enough to publish the names. What are the strategies that you have put in place to ensure that these people are brought to book? You cannot just publish their names. Okay, now we know them. What next? We know the person's financing. What next? What are you bringing them to book? The federal government should ensure that no stone is left unturned in making sure that they pay for what they've done. Every action has a consequence. So they should face the full wrath of the law. They should face the consequences for their actions.
The federal government.
Because you've caused Nigerians sorrow. You've caused Nigerians a lot of pain. And even some members of the federal government may also even be part of the financiers. Just that they may not mention their names.
In this country,
they listed 15.
Yes.
What? They may be more than that.
No, not 15. No, maybe you didn't finish.
No, from the headline on the Punch newspaper.
Yes.
It said listed 15 financiers of terrorism.
Yeah.
Then some BDC. It wasn't stated.
Exactly. So now if you look at it, in this country, we've heard, I don't want to mention names, people that ordinarily, for instance, Aerofly recently was supposed to be given a portfolio as a minister of power, but because of some reports that came from the DSS NIA,
and all his antecedents,
exactly,
as the governor of Kaduna,
he was denied. Now, but in this one, we see how people who are in the Senate, people. In fact, one of them, okay, I don't want to mention them. Like I said, he was a national chairman of a party. We have all heard or read that he is a co-sponsor of terrorism. But he became a national chairman. Somebody now is in the floor of this, I think, third or fourth term now as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me tell you, by the time the federal government start going after these 15 named people now, before you know, they will start telling you, okay, you are witch-hunting us. And the federal government or the president, because they want to have re-election, they will just pipe low because they want to be politically correct.
They want to be politically correct and they want to be relevant in politics because without politics, they have no other life to live. I see politicians. Someone said politicians are lazy people who can't do any other thing than just going there to steal money, free money, people who lobby, kill, and do everything to come on board so they can steal money. Well, that's the person's belief. I don't know if you are, if you belong to the same school of thought. Well, this is going to be the size of the big story on Outnumbered today. Thank you very much, Antonia, for your thoughts. Thank you very much, Christopher, for bringing your thoughts on board. Well, my name is Ramsey, and of course, this is the end of today's Outnumbered. Do everything possible to make sure you are safe wherever you are. Nigeria is still our country. We believe this country will be great once again. Bye-bye for now and have a wonderful week.